I'm going to show you what inbound shipments look like inside of Luminous. Let's take a look. All right, so first and foremost, what does inbound shipment mean? A shipment on the top of the supply chain, or an inbound shipment, is just a group or cluster of goods or products or materials that is going into something. That something is typically like a 3PL, your warehouse, FBA. It's something that needs an object to receive it against. That's what an inbound shipment is. So here's the problem in modern commerce. If I use FBA, if I use a 3PL, a lot of times they have a separate shipment, and we, the brand in Luminous, we have our own concept of a shipment, and the two never meet. So what Luminous is doing to bridge the gap and give you more power over your shipments is we help you reconcile these two shipments between those two systems. We're one of the few systems that actually does this. It basically gives you, the brand, the ability to actually prioritize your own information. So let's dive into that real fast. Inbound shipments are usually from a PO, a TO, or just a shipment. A PO is a purchase order, a TO is a transfer order, and then a shipment could be something split off from a PO or a TO. So let me show you real fast. So I am in the purchase orders page in Luminous. So let's go over a common use case. Let's say I just wrote a PO from my supplier in China that is going to be imported directly into FBA. Let's say I've already added that to my Seller Central account, and I've already drafted the purchase order to that supplier. And now it's time for me to route the shipment, or at least split off the goods that I'm going to route directly to FBA. Here's what it looks like in Luminous. So here's the PO. Let me route off the shipment real fast. So I'm creating a new shipment from this PO. I can have any reference number I want. Maybe this is shipment 1 of 3 for PO number 1. You can name it whatever you want. We have custom statuses if you want. You actually don't even have to use them if you don't want to. Okay, so let's just assume that this is it. Now, one cool part about our shipments is Luminous does inventory costing in layers. When you split off shipments, my shipment to FBA is going to have freight. It's probably going to have duties. I want these allocated a very specific way. That's another video. Just an FYI, that does exist. So, gonna split this off, save it, boom. So, now the part of getting the shipment from the other system to match and reconcile it. So that's what this inbound shipments tab is in Luminous. So you as a user, you'll get notified. Well, you might not like getting notified if you do tons of FBA shipments. You might want to turn off notifications and not receive an email for this. At any rate, let's say we have a FBA shipment that has come in, it's pending, meaning it hasn't been reconciled yet. So the inbound shipments in the pending tab, these are shipments from your 3PL or from FBA from an external source that have not been reconciled. Okay, so I'm going into one of these shipments. One of these shipments is FBA 18TR. So I'm going to click on this. I'm going to click reconcile. So what this is showing me right now is this is the shipment status from the external source. So in this case, it's FBA, but this could be your 3PL. So they have the concept of a shipment. These are the total quantities on the shipment, and then these are the quantities that have been received so far. So the reconciliation process is pretty simple. Either I can draft a new TO from this. This will open up a modal for me to just draft a new transfer order or a PO. Or I can map this to an existing PO. Or I can map this to an existing PO shipment. Or I can just dismiss this. It's fine. Let's say I route this to PO number 1. My PO and this shipment are now linked. And the reconciliation process now means that the quantities being received by this external source are now being reconciled against my purchase order or my shipment or my transfer order. Also, what's happening here is we're recognizing an actual cost. By the way, unit cost is 0 because this is staging. I didn't add in any cost. If I would have added any cost, they would be right here, and that would be the amount that's recognized at this receipt and go into our cost of goods sold accounts. So the reason why this is so important, if anybody here has done business with a 3PL or has done business with Amazon, what you purchase or what you send to them doesn't always make it there. And a lot of times there's human error that happens. So instead of reconciling through 2 separate Google Sheets, Luminous will link those 2 shipments together, and you can now have the ability to reconcile them and see what has been received versus what you actually sent them. Okay. Now, if I go out, here's the reconciled page. So the POs that I've finished reconciling, everything's been received. They're right here. I can click and I can view the details. I can view the cost that's been received. I can see exactly the quantity that I've sent versus what was actually received. If it's off, there's going to be warnings. Then also, there's a lot of ways that you can declutter this. For example, if you use AWD and you just want to bulk reconcile a bunch of shipments because the transfer from AWD to FBA is really annoying, it clutters up the system. We also have bulk reconciliation flows where you can just auto reconcile things. There's some other cool features, and how you're going to use this page is really dependent on your supply chain flow. But for those brands that use 3PLs that have a WMS that we link into, and if you use FBA, this is generally going to be the workflow. Again, ship inbound shipments in your system, the brand system, Luminous, match with shipments from external sources like FBA and your 3PL's WMS. And you can see how far off you are from what you sent them versus what they actually received. That's it, guys. Thanks.